Salvation. According to Merriam-Webster, it's something that saves someone or something from danger or a difficult situation. But you see, behind this term salvation lies a story that boggles the mind. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Simple enough. But then this omnipotent God created out of the mire and the dirt a being in his own image, man. And there are no words that can describe this amalgamation of reason and sensation that God fashioned out of the dust, because within us, he planted a will, a free will to do what we will, not to follow some pre-programmed laws of nature. Like a slave being forced into meaningless labor, he gave us a mind. Now, some may wonder why a God who's omnipotent wouldn't even think up an autonomous world just to do his bidding. But you see, it is impossible for someone to love if their lives are strictly dictated from above. No, they need a choice, a voice to express themselves and how they feel. Because if we are to put our seal of approval on this God, then we'd better be able to see the truth, as well as any fraud. So we took that mind, fashioned after the Creator, and said, this is what ought to be. But as you can see, the world is far from this utopian dream. We said one thing but did another, betraying sister and brother until the world reached a point where what was considered right and fair was no longer a priority that everyone shared. And so the world started to search for a way back to this source of power, but the world could not and cannot find it in the past, now or later. The world found that the only thing man ought to do is surrender. And by surrendering, we can receive the tender care of the Creator. As it says in Romans, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. And no matter what we do, he can always see past our facades. So it was because of his infinite love that God sent his only Son, so that the battle of the ages could be won. So as the author of the universe, he entered our time, he entered our world, and took on our form so that the plan of salvation might be unfurled. But he chose not to come as a conquering king, but as a lowly baby, like an engagement ring from the eager husband to the timid bride. Casting all other cares aside, he said to his love, will you be mine? But he had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by mankind, a man of suffering and familiar with pain. His offer rejected after having invested all the powers of heaven to work for his creation's redemption, there was one thing left to do. He had to die. And just as they say, till death do us part, he showed the world his heart by offering his life up on a tree, a love so perfect, so vastly incomprehensible that we can only sit in awe of its size compared to our infinitesimally minuscule lives. And so that loving God had to turn his back as the universe racked its mind as to how such a sacrifice could be made for just a little world to be saved. But as the world did grieve, that Savior, he did weave that fine scarlet thread throughout each of our lives, throughout space and time, so that in the end he can say, that is mine. And so the rock of salvation pushed aside the paltry pebble in front of the tomb and whipped the brilliant tapestry of the universe off the loom with the bright scarlet thread running through, and proclaimed, you are in me, and I am in you. Because of this, salvation can be found in no one else than the God who sacrificed himself to save you and me. And in the end, his face will see. And finally, all the throngs will resound. Thank God, I'm heaven bound.